Well, as it seems, about an hour after the video I uploaded this afternoon was uploaded, Dr. Disrespect ended up making a statement along with an article posted by Bloomberg. At approximately 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time today, Cecilia D'Anastasio, reporter for Bloomberg, ended up posting the following article, stating that the reasons for his banishment from Twitch were never given. But 3 people with knowledge of the matter said Beam was removed because he exchanged sexually explicit messages with a minor through the service's direct chat feature. He also asked a minor about her plans at TwitchCon's convention, according to 2 of the people who asked to not be identified discussing such a sensitive matter. A complaint was later filed with Twitch through its reporting system, the 2 said. Now, according to the people that were cited as sources that, again, remain anonymous, D'Anastasio ends up painting a picture that Doc was terminated pending an investigation that had him basically doing inappropriate things via the messaging system inside of Twitch that existed back in 2020. Nearly at the same time that this article was presented, Doc himself ended up posting a tweet that was edited several times, but now ends up having kind of like what looks to be the final iteration of it all. And he says, "Hello, I'd like to make a quick statement. Let's cut the effing BS. As you know, there's no filter with me. I've always been upfront and real with you guys on anything that I can be upfront about, and I'm always willing to accept responsibility. I do want to apologize to everyone in my community, as well as those close to me, my team, and everyone at Midnight Society's game studio. A lot of people have been left in the dark about what happened yesterday with Midnight Society and we made the painful decision collectively to have me step down. Our team is full of incredibly talented and good people that have high career ambitions and families, and I never want to jeopardize the culture we have carefully crafted." So according to Doc, his stepping down from Midnight Society was actually amicable. However, in contrast to this, Robert Bowling, the head of Studio 402 on Twitter, the man that is in charge of 12 AM Studios, ended up saying, "This is a statement for me personally. It does not reflect any of my companies. It has not gone through any legal or PR approvals. If you inappropriately message a minor, I cannot work with you. Period." According to him, this is all based on evidence that he had received prior to Doc's tweet. Doc goes on to say, "Now that 2 former Twitch employees have publicly disclosed the accusations, I can now tell you my side of the story regarding the ban. Were there Twitch whisper messages with an individual minor back in 2017? The answer is yes. Were there real intentions behind these messages? The answer is absolutely not. These were casual, mutual conversations that sometimes leaned too much in the direction of being inappropriate, but nothing more. Nothing illegal happened. No pictures were shared. No crimes were committed. I never even met the individual. I went through a lengthy arbitration regarding a civil dispute with Twitch, and that case was resolved by a settlement. Let me be clear, it was not a criminal case against me, and no criminal charges have ever been brought against me. From a moral standpoint, I'll absolutely take responsibility. I should have never entertained these conversations to begin with. That's on me. That's on me as an adult, a husband, and a father. I should have never happened. I get it. I'm not perfect, and I'll own my stuff. This was stupid." He then goes on to say, "I'm no effing predator or pedophile. Are you kidding me? Anyone that truly knows me effing knows where I stand on those things with those types of people. F that. That's a different level of disgust that I effing hate even hearing about. Don't be labeling me as the worst of the worst with your exaggerations. Get the F out of here with that." Finally, he says, "I'm not the same guy that made this mistake all those years ago. I'm taking an extended vacation with my family as mentioned on stream, and I'm coming back with a heavy weight off my shoulders. They want me to disappear. Yeah, effing right." Now, through this statement, Doc never made mention whether or not he knew that this person or knew what their age was, but he did say that he knew that they were a minor. There was also no elaboration on what and leaning toward inappropriate actually meant. Now, I have to say, for the sake of, I guess, aspiring journalistic integrity, which I've kind of made the decision that I need to make sure that I adhere to, or at least try to, as best I can anyway, as a lay person sitting here making YouTube videos, that if you're somebody that looks at the Bloomberg article and you have a raised eyebrow, if you feel somewhat sketchy about news media, and even in just gaming, and say that an outlet like Bloomberg doesn't really do a good job of making sure that its sources are vetted well enough to confirm whether or not that this stuff is actually true, then I would say on the other side of the fence, this piece might be more to your liking. However, I would also say that in the case of rumor mill regarding Bloomberg, we would have to also chalk this piece of information up to rumor mill as well. This is a copy, a screen cap of an email that was apparently sent out to a bunch of different individuals over like the morning this morning. Now, I'm going to scroll down quickly through this so that for those of you that want to end up freezing the video so that you can see everything by all means do. According to the author of this email, who claims to be a prior Twitch employee that doesn't want their identity known for fear of backlash and their professional life being turned upside down, they state that Doc had a working relationship with a 17-year-old girl through the Whispers platform that existed on Twitch back in the day. However, the author states that he did not know this other individual's age at the time. The author also goes on to say that there was a lot of back and forth at Twitch as to what to do about Dr. Disrespect following the bathroom incident at E3, ultimately with a group of them deciding that they needed to, quote, get him, quote. From then on, the claim is that his whispers were very heavily monitored and that people were looking for an excuse to make him gone. From here, after Dr. Disrespect ended up being fired, the arguments went back and forth. There was an arbitration involved in which Doc ended up making claims that Twitch had violated privacy standards because Twitch had divulged some of this information to a third party trying to affect his livelihood, which ultimately ended up with a settlement in Doc's favor, where Twitch ended up paying Doc some amount of money. And then finally, this person claims that the reason why Doc wasn't able to say any of this, and he also claims that there wasn't any sexting, by the way, but the person also claims that Doc, having not said anything about this, was for fear of them violating a clause in the arbitration agreement that said if he tried to say anything remotely specific about the back and forth between both parties, that he would end up being found in violation of the agreement and would have to pay back the settlement that he was paid by Twitch. For the last several days, I've tried my best to remain as neutral as I possibly could, to provide what I would consider to be a medial take. Just be as informative as possible, provide a timeline, give everybody the historics, but not necessarily pass any judgment. I didn't want to be that guy. At this point, Guy Beam, Dr. Disrespect, has admitted openly to sending messages that leaned into the inappropriate to a 17-year-old, if the email is to be believed, to a 17-year-old girl back in 2017. I have no idea whether or not that person was actually 17, but Doc themselves admit that they are a minor. So even giving them the benefit of the doubt and saying that let's put it on the fringe and say 17, which in a lot of states, including the one that I reside in, is the technical legal age of consent. Although that statement in and of itself makes my stomach turn. See, I'm the father of a 13-year-old girl. Well, she'll be 13 soon anyway. And no offense to any of you, but I don't show anyone to her because I don't want you to know her. She's getting to be that age, and I would like people to leave her alone. And not for nothing, I've seen some of the messages that her own classmates, the boys in her own junior high, her own classmates, I've seen messages that they have sent her. Sometimes those things warranted conversations having to be had with other parents, just because you probably shouldn't say those kinds of things to my little girl. In a handful of years, my little girl is going to be 17, 4 years from now. Back in 2017, Guy Beam would have been 35, 18 years older than the 17-year-old, assumedly 17-year-old girl that he was talking to. Remember, he said that he talked to a minor. He didn't say, I was talking to a minor, it leaned into the inappropriate. When I realized how old she was, I cut ties and ceased communication. That would have been the perfect sentence to put in there, but he never said that. All he said was that he had communication with a minor that leaned toward the inappropriate. If a 35-year-old man is the father of a teenager, if a 35-year-old man were found to be messaging my daughter, if that situation played out in my own life, that would be a situation where I feel as though I would be getting in the car to drive to that person's house to talk to that man about why it was they were talking to my daughter in the first place, and also reiterate to them the importance of understanding why they should never be talking to her ever again. That is not an appropriate thing to be doing, and I never want to see that happen in my own life. Ever. I can only imagine how I would handle that situation. It makes my skin crawl, I'm not going to lie. So if I'm putting this in the perspective of a father, of the little girl, of the daughter, the teenager that would have been the father of that daughter talking to Guy Beam in DMs, leaning toward the inappropriate, to me, that is not okay. And while he would want to make all of the mea culpa in the world over it, it doesn't eliminate the fact that this was covered up for years. Years on years. And I have questions. I have questions as to whether or not it has ever happened again. I have questions as to whether or not Twitch knew it was going on and allowed it to continue. Why did Twitch allow this to continue going on and for Guy Beam to exist on the platform for 3 years following the incident back in 2017? He didn't get banned until he was in 2020. Why then Was he able to go to YouTube where messages weren't sent from Twitch to the people at the directorship level on other platforms to let them know, hey, this happened. You might want to be careful. Make sure that you monitor this person. They could do it again. What if it gets worse? And again, I'm speaking from the perspective of someone as the father of a teenager. A lot of you guys might think that his behavior was fine, that leaning toward the inappropriate as a 35-year-old man talking to a 17-year-old girl isn't that big of a deal. It's the age of consent, after all, in an awful lot of states. But not me. I can't do it. I have to think about my family. I have to think about the influence that other people hold. I have to think about what people in influential positions are able to make people do or influence them into doing, especially when they're people that are looked up to. Someone like Doc. I know that there's an awful lot of people that are going to continue to watch him. I know that there's a lot of people that are going to continue to support him. I know that there's a lot of people that will end up being fans of his until the day that they kick. I just won't be one of them. Anyway, guys, thanks so much for coming and checking out the video. If you'd be so kind as to sub the channel here, if you end up enjoying the content, I would very much appreciate it. Thank you so much for lending me your eyeballs, everybody. I'll see you in the next video. Peace.